A week before Melissa's 6th birthday, where Lily was of course invited, her mom asked mine if I had time on Saturday to help her with watching the kids. It was a sleepover party with 6 girls and I would have to stay there overnight too, but of course she also will pay me for it. I was not there when she made the offer, but my mom told her that this would probably not be a good idea. She blabbed out my nightly problem and about my loneliness and that I never had a sleepover and I might not have enough experience to be good babysitter. I didn't was offended when she later confessed me what she had told about me. It was just the truth. Melissa's mom felt very sorry for me when she heard that. The next day she called my mom again and came up with an idea. Even if I wouldn't be a good help for her, but maybe I can appear as a guest if I want to. She knew from 2 others of Melissa's guests that they were also bedwetters, but they had already sleepovers with Melissa and it was never been a problem. Mom promised to at least tell me the offer. When she did that the same evening, I felt of course very offended. Just because I was a bedwetter didn't mean I was like a little girl and would get along great with them, were my thoughts. That night I couldn't really sleep well. I was pondering all the time about this offer. Maybe it wasn't that bad. I always had wished for having a sleepover like everyone else, and when 2 little girls don't mind wetting the bed, why should I then? I also knew Melissa a bit from her visits and she always seemed to be very nice, and maybe the other girls would be nice too. I always had wished for friends, and meanwhile by being so alone almost all my life, why should I be picky about what age my friends have? My pretty much one and only social contact I was used to have was my little sister, and I sometimes still played dolls or other little girl games with her, so maybe I should finally admit and accept that I'm far behind in my development and kinda retarded. The next day in school I could barely follow the classes, and also later at home I didn't spoke much to anyone in my family. I was still away with my thoughts. The day after though, I carefully asked Lily what she would think about if I would go with her to Lily's birthday. Lily was thrilled by that idea. Sure, she was still too little to understand that her adored big sis she looked up to was for real just a loser. But I was glad, and it was a good feeling to know there is still someone who don't judge you. So that evening I told my mom that I have thought more about the offer and was willing to take it. Mom also seemed to be very happy about. I am sure she was often very sad because of me, even she would never say or admit that. But it was clearly that I am not that kind of a child any parent had ever wished for, anyway. The following days until the birthday I still felt pretty unsure and nervous about. Although it was just a little girl's birthday party, it was still the first invitation to a birthday party, outside the family, in years. Mom said it would have been okay just to bring the present they already had bought for Melissa, some Monster High doll accessories. I though wanted to show my sympathy and with my own money I bought her the matching Monster High doll. When finally the day came, Lily had to wear her best dress to look pretty, but to me she said it would be okay to wear my casual clothes. But I didn't want to look casual. It was a so special day for me, so I also took my Sunday dress. Maybe compared to others my age I might have looked ridiculous, like a oversized first grader at her first day in school. At least Lily liked it too. At 4 p.m. Mom brought us to Melissa. She also stayed there for short. Melissa was so happy when we came and what we got for her, and especially happy about my present. Her mom welcomed me with a warm smile as well. We went to Melissa's room where most of the other guests already had waited for us. Melissa seemed to be very glad and maybe even a bit proud to introduce me as her new, cool older friend, which made me blush. I was shy at the first and I think the other guests were a bit curious about me, but soon we were all used to each other and we played along great. Besides my size, I think, it wasn't much conspicuously that I was more as twice as old as the others. We was totally lost in our funny activities, but when one of the girls stood up and said she had to go to the toilet I suddenly also felt a strong urge and squirmed a bit when I felt a bit had already dripped into my panties. As soon as she came back I also stood up to go to the bathroom. On my way I met Melissa's mom and she asked me how I like it here. I was already fidgeting a lot but said that it's great here and thanked her a lot, that she invited me but also excused me that I needed to go. She said it's okay and that I should hurry, but when I'm done she wanted me for short talk, if I don't mind. I answered yes, but then indeed hurried to the toilet. After I had relieved myself, Melissa's mom had awaited me. She told me how glad she was, that I liked it here, and smiled. She also sends me greetings from my mom, who already left but didn't want to disturb us, so she didn't said it personally, but that she before had told Melissa's mom about her worries. If I would have so much fun here, I might get too distracted to notice urgent things. I knew what she wanted to tell me, and I blushed beet red and nodded shy. She comforted me. It's okay dear, no need to be ashamed, it already happened a little, am I right? I started to sob and looked at her sheepishly. Without saying any more words, she dragged me back to the bathroom and closed the door behind us. From her back she now revealed the bag my mom gave her before. Your mom said I should ask you if you maybe want to wear one of these. She pulled out one of my goodnights to feel a bit more secure. But Mrs. Messner, I whimpered. Sure, it's okay, it's just an offer, if you don't want, you don't have to, okay. I nodded, oh, okay, maybe it's really better, I admit, whiny. Fine, and remember, no one has to know. She smiled and winked at me, which let me also smile a bit again. So I pulled down my tights and panties in front of her, but at least I still had my dress on. Unfortunately, my tights were orange and the wet spot was also clearly visible on them. Mrs. Messner took them and reassured me and said she will dry this tiny little mishap. While I was putting on my goodnights, she humidified the peed part of my tights with water and then dried it up with a hair blower and gave it back to me. I put them on, now over my goodnights, and then I could go back to the others, but not before to gave her a big thankful hug. Back in Melissa's room we peacefully played on, and I never felt so accepted before. First I was really worried one of the other could notice my goodnights, but soon I even forgot I already had them on already. Then Mandy, one of the girls, had an idea. She had a new Monster High magazine in her backpack, and because I was so big, she asked me if I could read them a spooky story out. They all loved the idea. I felt so proud and it felt so good to be needed. So Mandy gets her backpack to open it. On the top laid a goodnight, but neither she or the others seemed to pay much attention to them when she put them aside to rummage for the magazine. So I started to read it out to my attentive audience. Right after I finished, Mrs. Messner called us for dinner. We ate chicken wings with fries and it was delicious, nothing special but fine. While we ate, Mrs. Myers asked us if we want to watch a movie in the living room before we go to sleep, and of course we all agreed. Melissa's mom said okay, but before the movie we should get us ready for bed. They all ran back to Melissa's room to get their backs, all, except me, because Mrs. Messner still had mine. When I asked her to give it to me, she asked me back if I need a new, which made me blush again. I tried to make excuses that we were so much in our game when a little spurt already had escaped, and that the girls then asked me if I can read something to them, and that I wanted to tell before dinner but didn't dared me an. Shush, Mrs. Messner said and told me that everything is fine and I don't have to explain, everything is fine and nothing bad had happened. She gave me my bag and a plastic bag and said I could dress me in the bathroom and just have to put the old one into the plastic bag before putting it to the trash. So I went there and closed the door. I was almost finished when suddenly a loud knocking came from the other side and I heard Marissa whimper in desperation, please hurry, I don't wanna have an accident in my panties. At once I went to the door and opened. As quick as her little feet could take she ran to the toilet, but, gasp, my used goodnights still laid on the lid. Marissa didn't have the time to think, she just shoved them away, opened the lid and let out a huge sigh in relief. Quickly I closed the door. Now that Marissa was more relaxed again, she now saw what she just pushed away. Is this yours? She asked me. It's over, I thought and went pale. I have ruined everything. Now not even little girls will ever respect me. I always be just a lose without any friends. Almost in tears I stammered, why, yes. To my big surprise she just shrugged and gave me a smile. Well, that's okay, my big sis has the same, she need to wear them at night and when we do long road trips, she explained me, and it's okay, if you don't wanna I won't tell the others, pinky promise. Why, you didn't find it weird a big girl like me still had those. Marissa pondered a bit, but then she just replied, no. Why? My sis Jessica is 12 and I am sure she will need them for a while too. Almost every day she wakes up wet. Wow, I thought to myself, what a luck. Then I realized what she just said. There were another girl almost my age who still wets, too. Then Marissa brought me out of my thoughts. Come, we should go. Not that the others start to watch the movie without us. I was wearing a long nightgown, so the others couldn't see my goodnights, but while we were watching I saw under Mandy's and Alex's pajamas bottoms clearly their goodnights. But who cares? They didn't mind, why should I do? We watched Frozen, but I was with my thoughts far away again, mostly about that I maybe was the best decision in my life to go to this birthday party. Thanks Mom for being so indiscreet, wink. At that night and the following morning nobody, except my sister, Mrs. Messner, and Marissa knew I was padded, but, well, who knows? If they really became my friends I maybe tell them one day, hee hee.